All right, it's time now for Reporter of the Day. It's your chance to go behind the headlines, or should I say the weather forecast, because today we have our Chief Meteorologist, Ryan Michaels, joining us.
Hey, what's going on, Barry?
Yeah, you didn't have a choice, really.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was handcuffed and dragged out to the Reporter of the Day segment
Our
here
producer,
today.
Kat Delaney, is pretty good at that.
I can't say no.
Yeah.
I'm just that kind of guy.
Well, speaking of saying no, when did you say yes to coming to work at WJHG? How long have you been here at News Channel 7?
It's been about 12 years now, going on my 13th.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while. I was at Wisconsin before that, at WJFW in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. That's where I cut my teeth, getting my first weather gig. And yeah, you know, I love the Northwoods up there, but Florida is my home state.
Right.
Yep. And I wanted to make my way back here, and I was lucky enough to find a spot here at WJHG in beautiful Panama City Beach.
And did you like it? Do you remember the age where you knew this is what you wanted to do?
You know, that's a funny story because I really, you know, I went to college thinking I was going to be a lawyer.
Okay, I could see that.
You know, I could make a pretty good argument, I felt like at times.
I mean, a lot of behind the sscenes, you're just like yelling and screaming at us, so that checks out. Not really, folks. He doesn't do that.
No,
I considered law school too, so
Well, it's kind of a long story. I always, when I go and do school talks, for instance, you know, depending on the grade, I have one or two that I usually tell, and it depends on what age the kids are. Because my very first memory of the weather, I was walking out of one of the portables in our elementary school, maybe second or third grade. And in Sarasota, Florida, you know, we could get tropical systems. And I just remember seeing the clouds, they were just racing across the sky, very low. It looked like they were just touching the tops of the trees, but they were booking it across the sky, and that just caught my attention, and I thought that it was the coolest thing. It was a breezy day too. Really liked every sort of aspect of how that day kind of was looking outside and shaping up, and so that's kind of my first memory of weather, recognizing really weather. And then when I was in about 4th or 5th grade, we actually had a meteorologist come and talk to our class. And I was really into Back to the Future a lot, and I loved that movie. And the very first thing that Bob Harrigan, he actually is still down in Sarasota doing weather, that he said to our class was, "Listen, kids, I can tell you the future."
Oh.
And that just, I was just mind blown. I was like locked in, listening to every single word that he had to say. Even quizzed him a little bit on how he does it, you know. But from there, if we got a tropical system to come through, and my middle school would actually flood, and my neighborhood was right next to it, so we would canoe down our streets. You could get, you know, 12 to 16 inches of rain. And so we would always kind of actually try to track out tropical systems. My buddy and I across the street, he gave me the nickname Weatherman too, because we wanted to find out if we were going to get a big dumping or deluge of rain to cancel school.
Right.
We wouldn't have to go to school.
That was really the only reason.
Either
that or can we canoe down the street?
Correct, to try to make it to school that way. But yeah, and so carried that over into high school, but high school is also where I started to kind of get a little bit of the law bug, and went to Florida State, started political science, realized that I must have had the wrong book for my classes. It was just like, okay, this is foreign to me. And then I found out that Florida State had a FSU weather casting program, and also one of the top 5 weather schools in the country at the time. And so I was like, well,
so it was meant to be, really.
Yeah, I was like, you know, let's check this out. Little did I know that it was a ton of math, physics. You end up with a minor in math, a minor in physics. To go with.
Look, there you are.
There you go.
Predicting the future.
Yeah, to go with your major and to predicting the future. Yeah, I'm doing current conditions right there, though, Barry. I mean,
well, I mean, yeah,
to get to the future.
I get that too. When I decided I was going to major in theater, and well, I decided to double major in broadcast journalism, and it also turned out to be way more work than I anticipated.
Yeah.
So you have a minor. That's scary. I could not do that. The minor in math?
You know, I sometimes wonder how I did it too. You're deriving equations of the atmosphere that take pages to
No
do.
way.
And it's what's really cool about numerical forecasting and when that became a possibility with computers, because we were able to jam these giant equations into computers and they were able to turn them out. And then as computers, software and hardware got better and better, we were able to turn out models quicker.
Yeah.
You know, and get different variables in there to see different outcomes. And now what's happening with AI and forecasting, I was just reading an article the other day about it, instead of actually using the kind of equations that we learned in school, they're training AI to look back on weather patterns in history. And they're using that and all the data that went into that day to then train the model. Okay, well, if all this kind of stuff was happening, then this could possibly be the outcome. And you know, you stuff thousands and thousands and thousands of weather patterns into something, and that's how AI learns. It learns by pattern based. And so it's going to be really interesting to see maybe what the future holds with AI forecasting.
Right. Well, we're glad you're here with us at Newschannel 7, predicting the future every single day for us to let us know what we're walking into.
Blowing minds left and right, Barry.
All right, thanks, Ryan. We'll be right back with more good news.